Hello everyone, my name's FlareBlitzed and welcome to a really special video today. We're exploring the weird, wonderful, wacky and charms of Blank Dreamless Entry of RPG Horror Memories. A series that explores what I believe are some of the most memorable games made in RPG Maker or Wolf RPG Editor. Blank Dream is a horror adventure game made by Kanawo, translated by VG Person. This dream is anything but blank if you ask me. If you do like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already for updates on future videos like this one, and be sure to leave a comment down below regarding anything at all on this video and put suggestions down for video ideas in the future. Make sure to stick around until the end as I've got an announcement to make regarding the next game in this series. Without further ado, let us explore the abyss that is Blank Dream. Dark, blood-coated with a twisted backstory and lots of full-screen jump scares, Blank Screen is not for the weak of heart. If you've played The Witch's House in Umaniki, you can tell that there are similar vibes when entering this game. The room with Yuzu and Ryotaro acts as the nexus of the game, the place that connects the different realms together. Giving that Umaniki vibe, everything is safe in this particular room. Exploring around the game, puzzles and scares you find have a similar tension in the air as The Witch's House does, though unlike The Witch's House, Blank Dream does come with an array of jump scares that fills your entire screen, hence why it's called full screen jump scares. Enough of comparisons though, as this is about Blank Dream and only Blank Dream from this point onwards. You start off in a single room, with no means of escape, and the room itself is very small and narrow, dispersing off that feel of claustrophobia, confined to a narrow corridor. Pretty much all of the game is very confined and narrow when it comes to moving around, either up, down, left or right, most of the time with little to no existent means of moving diagonally. You're never sure what's around the corner, especially since you've already started off the game by implanting a knife into Mishiro. For a dark themed game, Blank Dream is definitely one of the darkest games you can find. A lot of suicide weapons and events happening, along with affairs and incest. The game itself is cordoned off into several realms, each realm having a door which allows you to enter and exit. Aside from the greenery realm, all of them require a key to unlock. Whether you like puzzles and challenges, a story that covers a lot of sensitive scenario that happens in real life, jump scares filling the screen, or an aspect of a map doing its own thing, or chase scenes that determine life or death from Mishiro, Blank Dream is the game that provides all of that for you, and some more if you decide to dive deeper into each of the realms. Cause and effect is a factor when solving puzzles. In this game it's particularly obvious once you've figured out how to solve it and move on without consequence. Or do the opposite and leave yourself and fight for a surprise. This is on the perspective of someone who's going to the game for the first time. Obviously if you've played this game the third or fourth time or so on, the surprises have less an impact on you as you know what to expect from them and when. An array of puzzles in the game that makes for what I believe is a fun, challenging and intriguing experience. The realm of greenery has a few simple puzzles that only one of them requires some thinking on, which involves the axe you find along that narrow corridor. Investigate the rest of the area space in the realm first before picking up the axe, as the hunter can't tell a fake one from a real one. Can you replace it rather than just take it? Realm of Beauty contains some thoughtful thinking puzzles, one which trails down to greed. Can you take everything you can carry, or is the burden of all that too heavy for you? Another one that, well, it isn't really a puzzle, but the first encounter of a shadowy figure, which we'll talk about later on. Objective here is to prevent them from seeing you. How to not walk on broken glass. The main attraction of the realm though is the artist inside, which has a story orientated reflection to one of the characters in the game, which we'll get to in due time. Collecting red, blue and black paint as we traverse through the realm of beauty. Alongside that there's a lever you can pull that helps you find one of Yuzu's mirrors later on. Realm of Love has a few complex puzzles. Luckily the sound oriented puzzle has words on the screen which indicate what the sound is spelling out as. Neither a hammer or a knife will work on the pumpkin, though if you do either of these things, the pumpkin won't be too happy about it. You've also got a creepy doll that looms around on 2 occasions that sees Mishiro as dead with a game over screen, if you're not careful. Realm of Spirits has only one big puzzle to it that involves witnessing the 7 mysteries of the realm, one with a full screen jump scare along with a chase scene from a painting. The shadowy figure from Realm of Beauty is also within here, lurking around and hoping to kill Mishiro if and when found. Remember to view each mystery's summary from either a sign or a soul of a student carefully, and follow it accordingly. Realm of Blood doesn't contain any puzzles, though you should look out for any side doors in the realm and only go in them to get back to the start of the realm. With that though, this is a realm that contains one of the endings to the game, a blood-stained, knife-impaling, bad ending. Realm of Death, I believe, contains the most cryptic puzzles throughout the entirety of the game, ranging with death around every corner, hence the name of the realm, along with some really bizarre twists and turns when you find a manual for the lantern. The lantern itself can be adjusted to be strengthened and weakened to accommodate for different situations, puzzles and reading as examples. These next ones aren't really puzzles, but you could call them ones as they are required for certain endings in the game. Yuzu's and Ryotaro's mirrors lay scattered around the realms Mishiro's travelled throughout the game. Yuzu's mirrors are indicated by a red bear, Ryotaro's ones are indicated by a blue bear, while a grey bear indicates an event between some characters who aren't in the Nexus. All in all, Blank Dream has a great selection of puzzles through each of the realms in the game that allows the player to experience different themes in each one. Though mentioning characters is a good way to end this section as we're moving on to... First and foremost, one of the things that makes Blank Dream quite special is the number of characters in the game that have a significant impact on the story. Aside Uzu, every main character within the game is blood related, coming from the same family or the same line in the family. Unlike most games that you come across, there isn't an antagonist on board, which manages a lot of the horrific events that happens. There are some characters that have done bad things in the game, but no one that could be entitled an antagonist of all. Starting off with character list, we have Mishiro Utsuro, protagonist and one of the main victims of the game. Pretty much everyone who has a name in the game has something tragic happen to them. Others though I'm less sorry for. Mishiro is a school student who threw herself into a lake while at the age of 16, in an attempt to take her own life, though we know in a few endings is that it was a failed attempt. Mishiro was a troubled person who's had a complex home and school life, possibly started from the time when Mishiro started but diligent at school. From that experience, students avoided Mishiro and Chika Asui became frantic and strict towards Mishiro. In the mirror world, Mishiro is quite the reserved, shy person, though when acquiring more of her memories, she acquires more confidence when speaking to Yuzu and Ryotaro. More will be spoken about of Mishiro later on, as there are a lot of characters to discuss here, though her wish was to never have existed in the first place. Yuzu Hanasaki, and the first person Mishiro found in the mirror world, Yuzu is quite the outspoken person who wandered around the mirror world before Mishiro came. Without her memories, with only her name to claim, Yuzu is the only main character not tied in the Yuzu bloodline. A schoolgirl around the same age as Mishiro and Utsuro, she's a person like Mishiro that took her own life, though unlike Mishiro, her reason was to find Utsuro in the afterlife. A person who Yuzu has a particular affection towards, a love-like affection, that she didn't tell Utsuro at all in the game. Yuzu meets with Mishiro and Ryotaro in the mirror world, and depending on the choices Mishiro makes, determines if Yuzu regains her memories back or not. Ryotaro Sengoku is the only character out of the 3 in the mirror world that didn't take their own life, but rather, Ryotaro was caught in a fire. Ryotaro is the uncle of Mishiro who worked alongside Ryo's brother-in-law, Shinji Uzi. He's quite the enigmatic character to say the least when it comes to young girls. Ryotaro, if you hear about him, you want to avoid, but his intentions throughout the game were never malicious. Feeling pity for Mishiro, he really wanted to spend time with her, but the fire that caused his death stopped him from doing so. Like Yuzu, Ryotaro has no recollection of his past when he entered the mirror world, and whether he remembers his past or not is down to the decisions in the game made by Mishiro. Ayato Hinahara. Throughout the game in past memories admitted by Mishiro, he and Mishiro look to be close friends. Ayato is the cousin of Mishiro and a student at school around the same age as her. His cause of death was being ran over by a car that we later found out the driver to be his own mother, Tamaki Hinahara. In general life, Ayato was fond of the arts, with carrying an easel around with him, painting a picture wherever he travels, including the mirror lake that Mishiro and Yuzu take their own lives. In remembrance of his deceased half-sister, Ayato wants to paint a happy picture of her when she was alive, but Mishiro, being the model, as he stated that her and Utsuro had the same distant, gloomy look. Senji, along with Ryotaro, died within the fire that happened at work when talking about Mishiro's condition at the time. He was a caring father, to say the least, at the time when the family were undergoing issues, but still keeping Mishiro as something of importance to discuss with Ryotaro about. Senji wanted to cheer his daughter up while at the same time dealing with both work stuff and things happening in the family. Not much is known about him, but he does rage with Rinzu at Mishiro's parties to keep matters aside for this special occasion. Chika Usuri is the wife of Senji, mother of Mishiro, brother of Ryotaro, and daughter-in-law to Rinzu. Even less is known about Chika than Senji, though it is stated in the game that when she discovered when Mishiro stabbed a student in school, she became really strict with her. Strict ways were put into place in the name of correction, though the situations themselves were said to be of a violent nature. Rinzu Usuri, mad genius artist, mad personnel altogether, had two families which he kept secret from one another. Both of Rinzu's wives weren't named in the game, but both of them obviously were not known of each other's existence. Originally having Senji, but neither he or the mother of Senji had an interest in art, so he fell in love with one of the servants who did have a love of art. From there, they had Tamaki, father of Tamaki and Senji, husband to two unnamed females in the game, grandfather of Ayato and Mishiro, father-in-law to Chika, and in a warped dark reality, father and grandfather to Utsuro. The mad genius himself certainly made one or two horrific decisions during the course of the story, leading to the separation of the family, the existence of Utsuro through a father-to-daughter impregnation. Rinzu is the only character that could be considered an antagonist, though definitely the route to the hell that the Usuris went through. He died of old age. Tamaki Hinahara, daughter of Rinzu, mother of Ayato and Utsuro, auntie of Mishiro and half-sister of Senji. Tamaki was, throughout the story, the illegitimate daughter who was discovered by Senji when he returned from college, causing a concrete rift in the family. Like their parents, Tamaki took an interest in art, and her father wanted to teach her. When she turned 18, her own father impregnated her. Fearing for her own life, she separated from him and never saw him again. When Utsuro took an interest in arts, it revived her old wounds from Rinzu, which was an obvious trait carried over in the family. From there, her hatred for the family was obvious. She took her own life when she was on course to running over Mishiro, but ended up running over her own son Ayato instead. Unknown of what kind of mother she was like, but she did hate Ayato and Utsuro as both had an interest in art. Utsuro Hinahara, the original founder of the Mirror World, broke before she could fulfill her wish, wander the world forever as the ruler of it. Her existence was considered taboo from the very start, being that she was born from a daughter-father relationship was a result of the family going from bad to worse in situation. Utsuro by nature was an enigmatic, reserved girl who was liked by Yuzu dearly, though the same emotions weren't reflected back onto Yuzu from Utsuro. The role as the ruler of the Mirror World was broken when Mishiro entered the realm, as both individuals had the same wish and Utsuro was the lost soul in the world. Daughter to Tamaki, niece to Chika, half-sister to Ryotaro, cousin to Mishiro, daughter-granddaughter to Rinzu. Each character will be understood more in... The story of the game is quite small and understandable, but at the same time it could be really large and unexplained. The future self of Mishiro Utsuro in Blight Dream won't be considered here, as it is only Blank Dream we're discussing. Chronologically, the meat and potatoes of the story started with Rinzu. The mad genius artist had two families that he looks after. One of the families consisted of an unnamed wife, Senji, along with a marriage between Senji and Chika, which transpired into the existence of Mishiro. On the other family consisted of an unnamed lover, Tamaki, who led to the taboo existence of Utsuro. Then after Tamaki meeting with another person whom they had Ayato with as well. Both families didn't know each other until when Tamaki turned 12, and Senji discovered her while he returned from college. Discovered and found out, the unnamed wife went through with divorcing Rinzu and taking Senji with her, both keeping the name of Utsuro. From there, Rinzu stayed with the unnamed lover alongside Tamaki, which the family at this point has had its fair share of hardships because of Rinzu. The unnamed lover originally gave birth to Tamaki, and both the mother and daughter loved art, hence why Rinzu loved the lover in the first place. Though the same thing happened to their daughter, which unlike the other, was the biggest mistake in Rinzu's life that led to the birth of Utsuro. The darkest part of the story and the entire game, I believe, is that Rinzu impregnated his own daughter, though the same love desires of art as he did originally with the unnamed lover. Now, I do not condone this kind of action at all, so please don't think of this as a light topic to freely discuss about. After Tamaki separated from Rinzu, she found a legitimate partner, who they looked after Utsuro and also had Ayato as well afterwards. Both children though also had a liking to art, which reopened old wounds which she suffered from Rinzu. At the same time, I believe, Senji and Chika had a family of their own, allowing grandfather Rinzu to come around only every once in a while. The birthday showed a brighter side of the story, to put everything aside for this one day to make it special for Mishiro. It's really unlikely that Senji or Chika has explained the situation of the family regarding Rinzu, Tamaki, Utsuro and Ayato and the rest of the family to Mishiro that she doesn't really know about. 8 years before the present day in the mirror world, but during middle school for Yuzu, she is spoken to by a girl named Utsuro, who Yuzu at the time went on to reveal her feelings towards her, though Utsuro didn't reciprocate. A year later by the Mirror Lake, Utsuro was discussing about the cycle of the day with her son, along with Yuzu thinking about throughout the year that she's known Utsuro, that she hasn't been able to tell how she feels for her. Though the conversation itself progressed to a what-if scenario, Utsuro explains to Yuzu that if she disappeared at any point, that Yuzu should just forget about her, or more accurately, she should have never existed in the first place. Yuzu obviously confused for her loved one. Though years later on the news, a woman by the name of Utsuro Hinohara was found dead in the Mirror Lake. Later on in the story, Utsuro didn't throw herself in the lake. She was killed by her mother, Tamaki. When hearing of this, Yuzu looked up black magic, dark arts of sorts in order to find her loved one in the afterlife. And on the same day that Utsuro died, Yuzu took her own life on the same day an unknown number of years later. Not confirmed in the game, but I imagine that like Utsuro, Yuzu's body was discovered in the Mirror Lake as well. Through talking with the mirrors, Yuzu in the mirror world regained her memories while Mishiro observing the kind of person that she can be. But at one point in the game, Yuzu says that Mishiro was kind of cute. Ryotaro. 5 years ago from the present day, a phone call came in on one of Ryotaro's memories. A phone call between Ryotaro and her sister Chika in regards towards Mishiro. Though Ryotaro doesn't choose his words carefully about Mishiro's cuteness, and sends chills down Chika, describing that there isn't anything lewd about his intentions, though it is disturbing to say the least. A year ago, a conversation between Ryotaro and Senji occurs in Senji's business. A conversation that covers over Ryotaro's sister, also Senji's wife, along with the inheritance of the famed artist Renzu. Troubles of where the inheritance goes towards, as Renzu himself didn't state who the inheritance is for, lingering in the air for the whole family. Additionally, Senji talks about her daughter too, Mishiro, discussing about Ryotaro talking with her later on as a good uncle along with being a good brother to Senji. Important issues with both the family, along with Mishiro's social shell developing. What I imagine is a few moments later, through the last of Ryotaro's mirror from the previous one, a fire broke out in the workplace. Senji apologized to Chika and Mishiro for not being there for them anymore, along with Ryotaro thinking about how he'll never see Mishiro. My thoughts on this is, was the fire accidental, or was it intended by someone? And if so, who would do that? My thought on how the story pans out is that, if Tamaki killed Utsuro and Ayato a year ago prior to the Mirror World events, then it is entirely possible that either before or after Yuzu was killed, or Ayato accidentally killed since she was after Mishiro, that Tamaki set light to the building, causing both Ryotaro and Senji to die. Again, this reverts back to her hatred of the family, and wanted to eradicate all of the Uzuris because of what she's been through, mainly from Renzu. Tamaki killed at least 2 of the Uzu family, including Ayato, Utsuro. The possibility of her killing Ryotaro and Senji by fire isn't impossible to believe. Tamaki's insanity in the game started from that event that Renzu performed, which I've stated enough times already in this video. Before that happened, her personality is a complete mystery, though to say that it was more stable would be certain. Other characters like Chika, Senji and the unnamed lover and wife of Renzu don't have a significant impact on the story aside Chika's sudden attitude change towards Mishiro. Though now the Mirror World, with Mishiro and Utsuro as main characters here alongside Yuzu and Ryotaro. The Mirror World was originally created from a strong wish that Utsuro Hinohara made, that is to desire to never exist. The objective, like we know with Mishiro's mirrors, was to break all of Utsuro's mirrors in each realm to fulfill her wish. Though I imagine that unlike Mishiro, Utsuro could not manage the memories that she remembered and became a lost soul in the world. Afterwards, Yuzu died to see her loved one, Utsuro, in the afterlife near the same spot that Utsuro did, though she only knew her name and nothing else. She doesn't remember why she was there, only that she was there for a long time. After some time passed, Mishiro came into the Mirror World, though the significance here is that Mishiro's wish was the same as Utsuro's was, which was to never exist, thereby overthrowing Utsuro as the ruler of the world, and Mishiro becoming the new holder of the domain. Without her name, Mishiro stepped towards the first mirror when she arrived, and in the process regained her identity. But every time she remembers something, she loses something in return. Stepping forth into the Nexus for the first time, Mishiro meets Yuzu, a girl that's lost in the Mirror World without being able to find the mirrors in the depths of each realm. Amazed by how Mishiro remembered her name so quickly, she left the task of finding mirrors to Mishiro. The realm of greenery signifies the only happy times in Mishiro's life, but it could also represent the crumble of the family in part when the tree is burned down. The tree acts as like a pillar, holding all of the branches in place. Those branches represent each part of the family. When Renzu tarnished his reputation when Tamaki turned 18, and Tamaki killing numerous members of the family and herself, the main part of the tree burned, though the ghost of the tree came back to kill Mishiro. This in turn could relate to when Mishiro was nearly ran over by Tamaki. Other puzzles though could just be general puzzles and not a representation or symbolic to something in the story of the game. The realm of beauty to me speaks of Renzu Utsuro immediately, being a shadowy artist that wishes to create life with a brush. The same realm also consists of the shadow of Utsuro roaming about. Each realm with Utsuro represents something significant of the story. Realm of Beauty representing the birth of Utsuro though, the painting that Shadow Utsuro performed with the red, blue and black bottles of paint. The disappearance of Rinzu indicating his life ending, along with the painting and jump scares representing the taboo, warped birth of Utsuro. The realm of love to me speaks of the love that the family has with Rinzu's art, or art in general. The smile part of the realm represents Rinzu's wife and son. His struggle to find that both the wife and son of his do not love art. The process becoming from sad to happy was when Rinzu fell in love with the lover that gave birth to Tamaki. Finding the defective round the party was when Rinzu's wife divorced him and Shinji as well, leaving him. The chase immediately after, I believe, symbolises the aftermath of divorcing him, Rinzu naturally dying and the inheritance haunting the family. The realm of spirits, without a doubt, symbolises the school life that Mishiro, Utsuro and Yuzu went through. Another realm that the shadow of Utsuro looms around, though this time not fixed to one room. The changes of Utsuro's location could indicate the school or home life that Utsuro has had, though home life mentioned is incredibly sparse, only that herself and her brother Ayato loved art. With Ayato, for instance, the locations where Utsuro moves to represents Ayato walking to another location, away from mother to practice art with his easel. The chasing and causing death part against Mishiro would only be in the present scenario, wanting to remove Mishiro while in the mind of what's left of Utsuro, thinking that it would restore her place as ruler. It could be a symbolic relation of getting away from parents or what they are feeling, being that school is a likely safe place from Tamaki. The other spirits that are harmless represent events that transpired throughout the school, the 7 mysteries being an example. Those mysteries themselves could represent different activities going on in the school, but the memory when solving all 7 mysteries contains a story about Yuzu and Utsuro. It was revealed that 2 students died on the same day in different years in or near the Mirror Lake. The first student that died was Utsuro, and the second being Yuzu. How the rumors spread it out to schools could be because of the news. If one person dies, then it's no coincidence. But if another dies on the same day in a different year, then that could put in the mind a pattern going. Mishiro was likely the 3rd student, but the exception here was Ryotaro, as he didn't die in or near the lake. Though the workplace could be next to the lake, we don't know. Though the realm being a realm of spirits does dwell with the existence of spirits of both the students that are in the school and the family that are related to the students, hinting why Ryotaro joined just after Mishiro went to the mirror world. The realm of blood relates to the blood spilled throughout the game, including the stabbing of the delinquent in the school, along with the murders that Tamaki committed. Though spiritually, the ending that could happen here is a result of letting Mishiro's desire for revenge get the better of her, and her soul becoming lost just like Utsuro's was. The starting point of Chika to correct Mishiro came after the events that transpired on that school day. No one at the school wanted to be near her, though in Mishiro's defense, if she wasn't bullied, then there wouldn't be the motive for Mishiro to stab the delinquent. The realm of death once again has the shadow figure looming around, though like the realm of beauty she is fixed to one room. The staircase that you figure out which way to go represents the confusion that went on within the family. Most options to partake in results being back to square one, with one door in particular representing the end of the road for Mishiro, though that door is also duplicated in a particular closet that you can go in, though that could be in isolation from Chika. The jail cells would represent the shell that Senji talked about in regards to Mishiro, being cut off from society due to depression, loneliness, or another negative emotion, or a conglomeration of all. The same could be applied to Yuzu when she locked herself away to learn black magic, along with Ayato and Utsuro for being hated by Tamaki. The overall passage in the room where the shadow resides may symbolize someone important in the game, though myself I'm clueless to who it could be. Let me know down below. Through each of the realms that Mishiro traverses, she recovers more and more about herself, though she could also lose something in the process, physically, emotionally, mentally,
The only thing that it could be are memories. Indicated in some of the endings that Mishiro loses memories of some points in the past. That's the only thing I could tie that to. Overall, and this has been a heavy section, Blank Dream could have an easy to understand story, though the motives behind each character's actions could make the story itself very complicated. Moving on. So many of them, and a great variety too, though death in itself is not something to take lightly, please. Cause and effect, like we spoke about earlier, determines whether or not you obey the messages given. The ingot being something of a great burden. Can you carry it over the fragile path, or will you succumb before you finish? The spirit of a tree hungering for revenge after you burn it down, after observing a piece of your memories. Utsuro's shadow wanting to take control of her realm back by chasing you down. Though annoyingly and mischievously enough, a wicked doll that pushes you down a hole, or pursues you in the party room after regaining memories. Moving below a chandelier indicated by the patch of blood also marks Mishiro's demise. Someone was here before us to make this patch, and they put it back up. Or being too curious in the toilets could lead to a spirit residing in there ending you. These are just some of the amazing deaths you can find in Blank Dream. Finally moving on to... Like a few other RPG horror games, Blank Dream has multiple endings to it. These vary depending on the choices you make throughout the game. All of them that gain the better endings are optional, but kind for Yuzu and Ryotaro. The first ending you can encounter is the one in the realm of blood. Through stabbing the delinquent, you have the choice to end the dream, or continue to shed blood. The result being is being lost in the mirror world, repeating the same error that Utsuro performed. She too was lost to madness, mistakes repeated by Mishiro from Utsuro. The normal ending that transpires in the game is to fulfill the wish that Mishiro made before entering the mirror world. Without accomplishing anything from Yuzu and Ryotaro, proceed through and stab the mirror world's form of Ayato, the only barrier left to accomplishing the wish. With a bit of hesitation, Mishiro killed Ayato, and with that being done, her existence was wiped from existence. Indicated by red bears are Yuzu's mirrors. Through realms of greenery and death, you can find the mirrors that belong to Yuzu. Interact with all three and talk to Tamaki about her story, then proceed through the central door of the Nexus to get one of the good endings. Though when you can see that Mishiro doesn't remember her mother and now lives as a Hinahara with Tamaki's partner/husband, history could repeat itself. Same steps in different realms for Ryotaro, indicated by the blue bears in realms of love, blood and beauty. Through witnessing all the mirrors and interacting with Rinzu, you can acquire his perspective of the story. Afterwards, go through the Nexus door in the center and the ending commences with some parting words from Ryotaro about Mishiro's father in particular. This is the message I believe that made Mishiro remember her mother in the hospital. For the best/true ending, let both Yuzu and Ryotaro interact with three mirrors first before talking to either Tamaki on Yuzu's perspective or Rinzo from Ryotaro's perspective. You can't proceed with one or the other character's mirrors if you've heard the story from Tamaki or Rinzu. Proceed through with a final set of chase scenes with Shadow Utsuro, and both Yuzu and Ryotaro piecing together the memories that they have recollected. Yuzu talks about her memories of how she died through the process of wanting to meet with Utsuro, along with Ryotaro talking about his memories of how he died from the fire and a strong wish of meeting with Mishiro. Though unhappy while reformed as a spirit, Utsuro accepts the outcome that happened, along with the spirits of the mirror world aside Mishiro's disappearing. Remembering some of the memories that resided in the mirror world, along with losing memories in the real world, Mishiro decided to give life a second chance. What awaits in the shack that Ayato worked in was a portrait of Mishiro, smiling that I'm sure was the final spark that gave Mishiro confidence to continue forward in life. And that wraps up this dream. It certainly wasn't blank, to say the least, but the meaning behind it could symbolize the normal ending. A person who's blank from existence, having a blank dream to become blank. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, remember to leave a like and comment down below of what your most memorable moment was in Blank Dream. In the description below and on screen now is a link to a straw poll where you can vote for either Prom Dreams, Aria Story, Hello Charlotte, False Outram, or Nightmare of the Snow as the next game in RPG Horror Memories series. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. Hope you have a wonderful day and take care of yourselves.